And welcome to the 54th Old Guys, Gentlemen Flippers video. And what I'm going to be reviewing today is the Koenig Custom Arius folding knife with a patterned titanium handle and anodized titanium blue spacer. Normally I wouldn't have gotten a knife like this. It's a brand that I'm not familiar with. It is American made. And a lot of the American knives that I've gotten just don't match up with the Canadian Rask or the Russian Shirogorovs. And so I really don't have many American knives. But this may be the start of something new. Let me tell you about this. What kind of turned me on to this was I'm a big fan of the Nick Shabazz knife reviews, and he came up recently with a review of this knife, or one like this, and said it was a, I think he used like a special gem. So his gems, I didn't know he had like a special gem. I think that's what he said. In any case, if he says it's really good, and if I've got some money, then I need to go get it. So luckily I was able to get this knife. Let me show it to you. Now, it did not come like in a leather zipper case like a lot of the other knives do. It did come with a card. Well, one of the things I wish he would have done is signed it. Did have a date. Also, for the amount of money I spent on this, which was close to $500, a lot of them are serialized, and I kind of like that. And it's a small weakness of the knife, because I agree with Nick. This thing is a special gem. It's in the top 5 of my knives right now. It also came with a little sticker and a nice cleaning cloth with Koenig on it. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But in German class in high school, I remember that name as being Koenig. This is the knife. Really pretty anodized backspacer. I love the pattern on this. This is the thing that really sold me on it. The knife that I think that Nick reviewed had like a plainer one, but I like patterns like this on a knife. Lots of cool machining there. The action is just amazing on it. Most of the knives I've got to do some tweaking of a lock bar to make sure it's right. The first knife I got that I did not have to do that was the Rask, and I still haven't had to adjust this one. This is my current favorite knife. Love that. But getting back to this, I like the shape of the blade. I don't know what kind of blade type that's called. I guess it's a drop point. I'm not sure about the hole in here. I don't necessarily need that. The brand is really simple. I like simple brands. No number on here. It doesn't tell you what steel it is, but it does happen to be CTS XHP stainless steel, which happens to be a really high hardness steel. I'm not sure how hard this is supposed to be, but it can get up to as high as 64. It did not come extremely sharp. It was sharp, but not as sharp as I could make it with my Wicked Edge system. So you can kind of see the edge that I put on there. So it's super sharp right now. But it wasn't that difficult to sharpen, so if I were to guess just based on sharpening, it's probably on the order of 61 hardness. I like the contrast between this stonewash here and the satin finish there. It's a real subtle contrast. You know, sometimes what you'll see is black here or black here and mirror here, which is a little bit too much for me. One of the weaknesses on this thing is that there's no jimping here, but the good part is with this texture and the shape of the handle, it's it stays in place pretty well. But a little bit of jimping, I don't know where you put it, I guess up here, that wouldn't hurt the look of the blade. Might have been a little bit better. It's got a flat on the pin, which I really like. Lots of times you'll have to screw both sides, or you'll have to do weird things like put heat on it to break the lock stick, or put pressure on it like this to bind the pin up so you can undo it. A lot of the Shirogorovs are like that. But this is really nice. Let me go through some of the stats, and I'll also cover some of the other good things and things that I think are a little weak on this thing. The blade length is 3.5 inches. The cutting edge itself is 3.625. You know, I'm reading this off the list online, and then wondering, how can that be? How can the cutting edge be longer than the blade length? Well, that'll be a mystery we'll just leave for somebody else to solve. The closed length, and it just closes. Oh, excuse me, I need to go past the detent. Closes just like a Shirogorov, just like a Rask. Really nice. The handle length is 5.125 inches. The overall length was 8.5 inches. The blade thickness, it's a fairly thick blade, 0.155 inches. It's a hollow ground, so while it is thick, it gets down to be fairly thin by the edge. I like hollow ground blades. It's a frame lock. It's got ceramic ball bearings for both the pivot and also for the detent ball. And I'm going to insert a little video here so you can see the inside. Sorry for the washing machine noise in the background, but I'm downstairs where I do my knife work, my messy sharpening, etc. And I just finished doing a really nice edge on this. You'll see it better when I do it, the recording, the review upstairs. But something's kind of interesting right here. Look at that. It's a ramp about midway up the detent ball trace. I've heard about it, read about it, but never seen one. The other interesting thing is that the pin for the blade, stop pin, is basically pressed into the knife. I think that's pressed in. Anything interesting on the other side? It's a real cool hollow grind on this. Right now the action is perfect, so I'm probably not going to change anything, but if I did change something, I might polish this where the bearings hit. The bearings right here, and they look kind of like ceramic bearings. I have to check the specs. Haven't cleaned this up or looped it myself yet. Looks like there's I can't tell if there's a washer in there or not. It's definitely a polished surface. What other interesting things in here? All the screws are at the same torque size, which I've seen that on another knife, but that was pretty cool on this one. At least I think they're all the same. I used one torque wrench to undo them all. I think that's it for down here. And the reason why I took that apart is because it's easier for me to sharpen. But talking about sharpening, these are two flats here, and I could get a really nice grip on that for that. The sharpening choil makes this back edge easy to sharpen. The simple shape with no recurve in it also made that easy to sharpen. It was a pleasure to sharpen. It's tip up, right carry. It's heavy. It's 5.7 ounces, which makes it the heaviest knife in my collection. The next closest one is this Venom. I forget the name of it now. Yeah, the new concept Venom. The Japanese maker Kevin Johns Kevin John. It's another knife that I kind of like, and it has about the same heft, but this is actually a little bit heavier. Pricing was a little bit expensive at $490, but what you're getting for that is a knife with really good fit and finish, really great action, some of the best knife steel that you can have, and it's American made, so you got to pay a little premium for that, but I think that's worthwhile to do that. I didn't show the centering on this, which is pretty dead on. The anodized spacer slash lanyard hole is pretty cool. I like things that are relatively plain for 95% of the look, and then have just a little bit of something to say, whoop, I'm kind of a little special here, check me out. Oh, the other thing I mentioned is that I might have mentioned this in the other video, but these are all the same torque size. They don't look like it, but I was able to use the same torque wrench in all of them. The pocket clip, when I saw this, I thought, oh, that's going to be a problem. There's not much of a ramp up here. But it turns out it's fairly flexible, and it just went right into my jeans pocket. I thought for sure I was going to have to bend this back a little bit to make it fit, but it worked fine. Didn't show the lockup. A little bit all over the place on this particular video, but that's just the way today is going. Wish it would have had a serial number, but all the negative things are little things, and if he came out with another knife with different kind of back spacer, like I've seen some that use Damascus, or a different screw here, I might be tempted to get a second one of these. It's just really nice. And I forgot to compare them, so this is going to be another insert. This is the Arius. I've shown you before the Grimsmo Rask, and I forget the weight of this, but this is definitely a lot heavier than this because they mill out the titanium, and everything is kind of smaller about the Rask. And I used to think I only wanted light knives, but I'm beginning to love heavy knives. I thought that they would drag around in my pocket, but they're really not heavy enough to be doing that, at least not with the kind of jeans that I wear. This is the Shirogorov 95T, and it's actually a little bit bigger than the blade is bigger, handle's about the same size, and it's also a little lighter than this one. And I used to think that this was the brute of my knives, this Kevin John Venom. This is really a nice knife. And it's made by this stupid clone maker, but this is not a clone, this is original design. But this is heavier than this one. The blade is about the same length, although this one is wider. Handle's longer on this, but this is heavier. What does the thickness look like? So I guess I can't explain why the Koenig's a little bit heavier. But like I said, it doesn't bug me. I wouldn't want them heavier than this though. So, that's it for today. Hope you got some value out of it. Watch Nick Shabazz as well, because when he gives you advice on a good knife, it's usually correct. And the best I can do is say, second it and say, yep. So until next time, thanks for watching.